Pardon rejected. In 1830, George Wilson was convicted of robbing the U.S. Mail and was sentenced to death. President Johnson issued a pardon for Wilson, but he refused it. The matter went to Chief Justice, who concluded that Wilson would be executed. He wrote a pardon as a slip of paper, the value of which is determined by the acceptance of the person to be pardoned. If it is refused, it is no pardon. George Wilson must be hanged. Jesus came to pay a debt that he didn't owe, because he owed a debt we couldn't pay. Jesus was there because of that man's sins, and mine and yours as well. If you have ever been saved, you will spend eternity in. If you have never been saved, you'll spend eternity in the lake of fire. Friend, you don't have to. Jesus died so that you can live forever. As we continue the survey, that scene that day, we find another cross. There's another cross today. First, we talked about the cross of rejection. Now we're going to talk about the cross of redemption. Or the cross of reception is second. But the other answering rebuked him, saying, "Doth not thou fear God, seeing that thou art in the same condemnation? And we indeed justify, for we receive the due reward of our debts. But this man had done nothing amiss. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. And Jesus said, Surely, verily, verily, I say unto you, today thou shalt meet me in paradise." This is one of the most beautiful stories in the Bible. It illustrates the simplicity of salvation. This man did not have a degree in theology. He did not have the opportunity to clean up his life. He couldn't if he tried. He didn't have time to work his way into heaven, and he couldn't if he did have an opportunity. He didn't have to offer a long and detailed prayer of salvation. This was not a counselor at the foot of the cross telling him to repeat after me. He simply trusted in Jesus and cried out. And that's what we need to do today. We just simply need to cry out to the Lord. I don't agree with people repeating prayers after someone. And if you believe in that, you're entitled to your own opinion. But I don't. Because my question is, where is the heart of it? I love the song that talks about little Jimmy. All he knew how to pray was, Jesus, this is Jimmy. The church council got together and said this little prayer is going to have to go. The pastor told him this little prayer has to go. And then he ends up dying in a car wreck, leaving from church, getting run over by a car. And what the preacher was praying at his bedside, he heard a voice from heaven say, Jimmy, this is Jesus. Jesus heard that simple little prayer. And if it's truly from the heart, if it's nothing but God forgive me, God knows our hearts today. There is more to this conversation than just what we read in a few words. The Gospel of Matthew records some extra detail of this man's story. Notice the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. He saved others, himself he could not save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also, which was crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. Matthew 37, 42, 44. Did you see that thieves in plural? It seems that at the beginning, this man was against Jesus as well. But yet there was an apparent change in this man. What leads to this change? In my opinion, the answer is found on John 23-34. Then said Jesus, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." I can't prove it, but I fully believe that something about that statement spoke to the sinner, and it helped him see Jesus for who he is. Regardless, something happened, and it led to his conversion in his life. And that's how it's for each and every one of us. Something happened to us to lead into our decision to serve God. You say, well, I grew up in church. That's the why. There's a lot of people that grows up in church that never fully accepts the Lord. But we each have that drawing to want to know more and more about the Lord. And there's something that leads to us wanting to know more.